Welcome everybody to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm so happy to have you here. I am your host, Lady JB Owen, and I'm pleasure to be here. I feel a pleasure to be here because I get to share with you so many amazing ways that you and I together can ignite humanity. That's right. We all want to be making a big effort in our lives to ignite humanity because, well, humanity is important. And where we're going in our world and the trajectory that we're on is valuable and important to each and every one of us. And so finding out ways that we can ignite humanity is truly one of the things each and every one of us should be doing. And well, they're not teaching that in school or university. So guess what? We're coming to you every day, Monday to Friday, to talk to you about ways that you can ignite humanity, how you can make a difference. And they are little tiny incremental differences that you can make that are going to make a big difference ultimately in the lives of many. I want to talk a little bit today about emotions. Each and every one of us has emotions, of course, and it's the emotions that are pushing us forward. In fact, many of us are aspiring for certain things because we want to feel the emotions of that. Maybe we want a new car, or we want a new house, or we want to be in a relationship, not because of the house and the car and the person, but because of the emotion that is assigned to it, the way we feel around those things. And many of us are feeling emotions that are tough and difficult right now with what's going on in the planet. Many things are changing, and we're not living and experiencing life the way we used to. And so that is causing emotions, sometimes difficult emotions that we're struggling to cope with. And so this show is all about ways that you can find a connection and a community and collaboration with others to dial into your emotions in a way that is going to serve you. And when you feel something very dramatic or tragic, or you've been through something and you've already been able to process an emotion, you're able to help people and pull them forward. You're able to give them support and understanding, encouragement, and all the things they may need to process their emotions so that we can all eventually be on the side of emotions that we're all looking for, which is happiness and peace and contentment, those things that make us feel good. Because when we feel good, we make the other people around us feel good. And when they feel good, we're igniting humanity. We're making a big impact. And that's why we are here today. So it's all about solutions. Today is the day of solutions. I like to ask my guests and challenge them to give you solutions that you can do in your life so that you feel like you're making a big difference and you're in turn igniting humanity. So stay tuned as we talk about some of the solutions with our guests. Now, if this is your first time at Ignite Humanity Live, well, welcome. And let me share that you can see all of our episodes and everything we've been up to at our website, ignitehumanity.life/share, /watch, and you can see what we're up to. And of course, check out this episode and all the other episodes we've been doing up till now. If you're just tuning in, well, welcome, because we're going to have some fun and we're going to share with you ways that you can ignite humanity right in your home and in your community. All right, well, let's not wait any longer because we got a guest in the house. We have Miss Emily I'm so sorry that I said her name last. Emily is look at that. I had a mind blank on Emily's last name. Well, Emily is a grief transformation expert and holds a master's degree in English with a concentration in writing. She has been teaching writing at the university level for over 30 years. And during that time, she has published 3 writing textbooks, 1 solo book, and she is working on her next solo project with Ignite Publishing. She also presents writing through grief workshops. And one of the great things I love about Emily is she really helps us deal with our emotions. She is fantastic at helping people move through some of the emotions that they have been going through to get to the other side and find that happiness. Emily, welcome to the show. And I'm so sorry, bing, 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 that I didn't pronounce your last name properly. Can you say it to everyone for my apologies? Emily.
No problem. It's Emily Thiroux Threatt.
I'm so sorry. I knew it was hyphenated. I knew it was 2 T's, and then suddenly my mind just went blank.
Actually, it's not hyphenated because I chose to keep the names of both of my husbands who died because I loved them both, and I had those names for a long time, so I just kept them both after my second husband died.
You know, Emily, that's a great story and segues right into some of the things that you're talking about, grief and happiness and joy and overcoming. And so tell us a little bit right out of the gate, your story. You didn't hyphenate, you've kept both of the last names because you have actually experienced losing 2 husbands to illness, and you've gone through that grief process. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. It's been wonderful to have 2 really great husbands and live a nice life with them. And when they left, it was a little bit of a challenge to figure out what I was going to do next. So I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, since I'm a writer, I should just write about it. So I started writing just for me in my journal a lot. And the more I wrote, the more comfort I found. And I found different things that if I explored those, they really helped me. And I thought I could help other people by teaching them these things so that they could write to help them deal with their grief. So I started doing that. I posted something online on Meetup saying, if you want to write about grief, come on over to my house. And they did.
Mm.
I was surprised people showed up. And
Wow.
for a long time, we started out once a month, and they said this isn't enough. So we bumped it up to every other week. And we were really going strong with writing and then sharing what we wrote about and creating a sense of community and support with other people who got what we were going through, because we were all dealing with some form of grief or loss. And it was great till the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't, they didn't want to shift online. And so I thought, well, I'll shift online. So I started doing the group online, and that led to me creating an organization called the Grief and Happiness Alliance that meets every week for an hour for no charge, where we get together and we write and talk about what we wrote, and we learn a happiness practice. Because along the way with helping people with grief, I realized that something was missing. Because when you just talk about grief and loss, it's heavy, and people tend to get stuck in the sadness of what's going on. So through Marcy Shimoff's book, Happy for No Reason, I got lots of information and became a Happy for No Reason trainer so that I could help people discover happiness while they're grieving. Because I believe that when you grieve, you don't get over it. You step forward through it, but you don't get over it. It's something that you have for life. And
Mm-hmm.
by knowing how to be happy at the same time, then it's doable, and you can live a good, happy, positive life.
Well, you've said a lot of really interesting things. And first of all, let's go to the whole point of writing while going through grief. I mean, writing truly is a cathartic, powerful, and inspirational way to help you process. Can you speak a little bit of why, tell people what is happening and why writing is so important?
Writing allows you to pull things out that you're dealing with, that sometimes if you think about things, they just kind of bounce around in your head and you never get any place with them, and you think the same thing over and over again, like, I'm so sad and I miss him so much, and that sort of thing. Where if you start writing about it, you can, for instance, if you're so sad and you write 10 positive things that happened with you and your loved one that made you happy, then you can shift gears by doing that. So we come up with different writing topics all the time so that the writers will be looking at things through a different lens instead of just sorrow, but of love, the love you shared with your loved ones, and positivity, and what you can do for other people too to help them. Because although all of us face grief in life, all of us also know somebody who is dealing with grief and loss. And loss can be anything: loss of a job, loss of a
Mm-hmm.
home, loss of anything. So we all know people that are dealing with that. And if we can find ways to positively deal with things, to kind of flip the switch to show that you can be happy while you're dealing with those things that are tough.
I actually agree. I remember a lot of what I was talking about during the pandemic was lifestyle loss. A lot of people were just feeling the loss of their lifestyle, out camping or out with friends or having, a Friday night card game. There was a lot of grief around losing our lifestyle and what we're used to, and just companionship and camaraderie and just having some freedom. And so when people are stuck in an emotion, how do you think the writing, and you and I both, we love writing so much, and I want to inspire our listeners, how can you support them or give them some solutions on how writing can actually help move that, the currency or the frequency or the emotion that they're in towards something better?
Well, a lot of it's on what you decide to write about. Because if you write about, I'm so sad, that's what you're going to feel.
Right.
So, so if you can, when you find things to write about that are more positive, like one of the things that I did was write about, what do I want to do now? And I was surprised at what came out, because it wasn't stuff that came out while I was just thinking about how I was feeling or just being, but it came out when I was writing. And one of the things I discovered was that there were a couple of trips in my lifetime that I really wanted to take that I hadn't done up until that point. And through writing, I thought, I can do this. I can go by myself and I can have a wonderful time. And I did. I went to Tuscany and I went to Bali. And I love to do ceramic sculpture. I work with ceramics a lot. And so I found a ceramics organization who took tours to those two places where you could go and actually do workshops and sculpture and creating ceramics and see lots of beautiful ceramics in those countries. And that way it wasn't like a regular tour thing where you just look from place to place, but you were working with other people who had common interests. And I hadn't thought about going with a group like that before, but boy, was it wonderful.
It sounds wonderful. I just actually yesterday, funnily enough, was looking in India, and there's actually a place where you can go up into the Himalayas and do pottery and do ceramics. And I can just imagine how healing that must be. And what I loved is we suddenly got our minds on the possibilities, the future, what we're capable of. And we sort of all forgot about the sadness because we were actually thinking about what we can do. And so great example of how to shift your emotions. Talk a little bit about the difference. And I'm sure many people ask you, how do grief and happiness go together? You've written a book, you've started an alliance about it. How can we formulate the dichotomy of grief and happiness together?
Well, I think the first thing is to affirm for yourself that they can coexist. Because a lot of times when I tell people I work with grief and happiness, they go, well, that's an oxymoron.
Right.
They don't fit together at all. But they do, because it's natural and normal to grieve, and it's natural and normal to be happy. And you don't have to be happy about your loss. That's not what this is. It's being happy about what you're experiencing now, what you have the potential of experiencing. How you can help other people can make you happy. That's one of the things that I really get out of what I'm doing. I'm happy when I can see other people thriving when they're grieving by being able to exhale. After we do a writing assignment, sometimes I can just see the relief on the faces of the people and hear it in their voices that they've made a difference by the writing that they were doing that I had suggested in the group that I created. And it's not about me, but the happiness I get is that I was able to facilitate this for these people to be able to experience.
That's a good point. It's not about happy that something happened. It's about the happiness that you can feel inside. And for all of the principles of igniting humanity, it really does start with self. It starts with what we can do ourselves to then help us be at a place where we can support and help others. And I really appreciate you saying that. Grief is a tough word for many people. And I love that you are an advocate to help shift that into something that becomes a blessing. And even right at the start of the show, when we talked about having both last names of two of your amazing husbands, you've shifted it into something that is now part of your mission and part of your vision. Can you help people see how sometimes the trials in our lives can actually become the catalyst for something that actually is going to support others?
That's a good example of the kinds of things we write about. And I'll ask them a question like that. What has happened in your life, especially with your loved one, or now that you're working on this on your own, what's happening that makes you happy that you can share with somebody else? And by sharing that happiness, the level rises for everybody, that everybody's around. I can remember sitting at the dinner table with my mother, and we'd get the giggles and we'd laugh forever. And everybody at the table ended up laughing because we were happy together. And it wasn't that we started out happy, just that giggle inspired the other person to giggle
right.
too. And
then
contagious. Everybody's laughing and they feel good. So when you can spread the feeling, the emotion of being happy, of being of having a good life, of taking good care of yourself. Because I always tell people that's the first thing they need to do when they're dealing with grief, is to take good care of themselves. Because once they do that, then they can move forward.
Hmm. I want to talk about another emotion. You recently were published and became an international bestseller in the book Ignite Forgiveness. And I know that forgiveness is another big piece of this. Are you able to just talk a little bit about how forgiveness for self and others really plays a big part in finding those emotions of happiness?
Oh, it's very important, because if you're carrying around something that forgiveness is necessary for, until that forgiveness comes, you can't deal with it. You've got to figure out a way to make that happen. And in the book, what I wrote about was my husband had a real challenge medically with a particular set of doctors and a problem that he had. And before he died, we talked about, once he died, that I should follow up on that. And so I did. I wrote lots of letters, did depositions, did a whole lot of things. And it wasn't easy to do.
Hmm.
And when I was finished with the act of what I needed to do it, I thought, you know what I need to do is forgive those doctors, because didn't do anything intentionally to harm my husband. And what I did by what I was writing and telling people was hopefully prevent the same sort of thing from happening to other people. And when I realized that I could forgive those doctors, then I realized I could forgive myself for holding their actions against. Uh,
Hmm.
so when I forgave myself, it was like the weight of the world was off my shoulders. It really made a gigantic difference for me. So whenever you're holding something against somebody or something, look at it and see if there's a way that you can deal with it instead of just carrying it around.
Great solution, great idea. And I think sometimes we do harbor resentment towards others or towards ourselves, and that can keep us in our grief or keep us in our negative emotional state. And so forgiveness is truly one of the ways that it's not about accepting or allowing or giving permission to somebody else. It's really about releasing ourselves. And your story really amplifies that so well. And I just want to say thank you so much for writing in that book. And then, of course, you have a new book coming out. Share a little bit about the parameters around the new book and why it's important for you to keep writing this particular topic.
Well, on this topic, I think I could never write everything about it. There's always more to write about it. And I mentioned the Grief and Happiness Alliance. We have a nonprofit organization that funds it so that nobody has to pay to come to our group meetings every week. And we decided as a group that it would be great to publish a handbook that would help people through grief, that not only would tell them about different things that they could be experiencing, but what they can actively do about it. Because a lot of times you hear, oh, well, I'm going to go through, or I'm going through this, but what do I do? And the handbook, the Grief and Happiness Handbook, can help you with that, so that you actively have something. And you can, even if you're not sure what you want to be dealing with as you're reading it, at the end of each chapter, there's things that you can do. And when you find yourself actively participating in your moving forward, it makes a huge difference. So I'm very excited about this book coming out. It's going to be a great blessing to all who read it.
We also are very excited to support you in publishing it. But let's talk a little bit about actively moving forward, another great solution. Can you give people some ideas about how they can actively move forward wherever they are right now in their lives, potentially if grief is affecting them?
The big thing is to allow yourself to do it, because a lot of times we're doing what we think we're supposed to be doing. I know both my mother and my sister, when they lost their husbands, they stopped doing. It was kind of sad to see that they were mostly grieving for the rest of their
Mhm.
lives. And I think that's one of the things that motivated me to so much to figure out how I can do better for myself, because I knew that I wanted to feel good, and I wanted to actively be doing something. And by helping other people, that's helped for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's as I mentioned before, taking really good care of yourself, figure out what that is and what it would be to be good for you. What can you do? What can you create? What can, and it doesn't have to be something big. It can be something like reading books at a local elementary school. I've done that before, and the kids just love it. And, it doesn't cost anybody anything, and it feels really good. So just find something that makes you happy when you do it.
I'm really understanding what you mean when you say grief and happiness, because what I admire about you, and I've noticed in all of your writing and all of your sharing, is that they can exist together, and that you must still maintain, or the need to still be doing life, instead of letting grief sort of take you down the rabbit hole and paralyze you, which we know it can be very paralyzing. But at the same time, the care, the self-care, taking care of self, recognizing self, and still taking action and still doing stuff helps to keep the balance in both of those, so that you maintain some of your relationships and some of your habits and the things that you love while you're still dealing with this. And I just love that it feels like there's this ability to do both. It's not one or the other. And it's not, you only can have one as soon as you get rid of the other, and you can't have this if you have that. So I really admire the way you've allowed people to see that they both can coexist, and they actually need to be there, because we still need to maintain a level of our own self-happiness and worth as we're going through this difficult challenge.
That's right. And
Thank you for letting me summarize that,
yes,
because for me.
it was just perfect. I really love that. Yeah, whenever you can find something real positive to do, for instance, on birthdays or anniversaries, sometimes you're really missing the person that you're grieving for. And what I do is I write them a letter,
Mm-hmm.
and that way I can pour my whole heart out about whatever I miss them, or what I would have liked to have done with them that I'm doing now, anything like that. You can write the whole thing. And the key is, at the end of the letter, when I finish writing that letter, I write another letter, and I write that letter from them back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing what comes out. It just helps put everything in perspective. And I always feel really good after I write those letters on especially on special days.
What a fantastic solution. I hadn't even thought of that. But often we feel like we hear the person speaking to us, or we sense them in our presence, or we know what they would say. And so when you write them a letter and they write the letter back to you, or you write the letter back to you as you know they would deliver it, what an endearing experience, and what a great way to really hear their voice and be reminded of the powerful connection that you have. Love, love, love that. All right, well, let's just jump right into our very last little part of the show. I love to talk about the principles of igniting humanity. The one I picked for us today is live authentically and with genuine integrity. Have you have any comments about that? Because I know that writing really pulls out that authenticity and that integrity, that genuineness in each and every one of us. Any comments on that wonderful principle that we can use to ignite humanity?
Integrity is incredibly vital in life, and I think not everybody thinks about that all the time. Lots of people just tell little untruths just to magnify things or make them look better or something like that. But whenever you do that, it kind of diminishes you, because you're not working in reality. You're not presenting the truth. And I once had a friend who was not integral. It was to the point where I couldn't tell whether he was telling the truth or not. It seemed like it was always a story. And by dealing with him, it really allowed me to see the value of integrity, that it's very important for me to speak the truth. And I don't mean speak the truth in a way that it's going to hurt people, because sometimes people think that. But
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're always honest with yourself, then you can live a brighter life, a more
Mm-hmm.
full life, because you know what's going on is real.
Very good point, because how you show up is how people show up around you. And we're all mirrors for each other. And we are leaders and guides and lights for other people to see. And if we're holding the highest integrity and we are being authentic, then we hold the space for other people to do the same. And I really appreciate you saying that, because I feel like one of the things that we need to ignite humanity is to increase our level of integrity, and so that we are our word and we are ourselves. We be and we show up when we say we are. We do the things that we commit to. And we do that so that other people feel they can do the same. Well, fantastic, my darling. Any last and final words?
Well, I have a grief and happiness podcast where every week you can learn more different things about grief and happiness if you'd like to tune in any place where you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have the team put that up on the screen so people know exactly where to find Emily. Thanks so much, Emily, for being here. We really appreciate you on the show, and I feel happier. Thank you so much. Big hugs and kisses to you.
Thank you.
Well, what I would love to share is that emotions, as you can see, are a vital part of the ways that we ignite ourselves and ignite humanity in return. And so working on your emotions through writing can be a powerful exercise for you to do at home, a solution for you to try something different so that you begin to express in a way that empowers you and inspires you and helps move you forward to be the person that you want to be. I loved Emily's suggestion to write a letter back to yourself. So even if you're feeling down or you're having an emotional situation that you would like to process better, take a moment and write a letter to yourself and do a little bit of personal coaching in the direction that you would like to go. Well, we love having you on the show. And if you would like to share what you're up to and the ways that you're igniting humanity, please go to our website and fill out our type form at ignitehumanity.life/share, where we can tell us all about you and what you're up to and the ways that you're igniting humanity, so we too can have you on our program. If you'd like to watch this episode or any of the things we're doing here at Ignite Humanity, well, we would love for you to check us out at ignitehumanity.life/watch to see all of the episodes. They're entirely free to you. We want to make it easy and convenient for you to process this information and make igniting humanity something you would like to do. We also want to share that we are building schools overseas and doing things to ignite literacy and igniting humanity through education in children in impoverished countries. We have an amazing initiative called the Ignite Humanity School of Hope, and we're looking for your donations to help us buy the bricks, the recycled, eco-friendly bricks that we put into the walls of the school. You can go to ignitehumanity.life/donate. And just $1, $2, $5, $10 makes a massive difference and will help us reach our goal of 35,000 bricks. Well, we're always happy to be here to inspire you and do great things in your world. But if you'd like to know all the things we're up to, go to ignitehumanity.life, our website, where you can find out about our documentary, our docuseries, and our book. We are taking stories just like Emily's and putting them into a book called Ignite Humanity. So if you have a powerful story and you'd like to be a part of a book project that is going to actually make a huge ripple impact around the globe, please check out ignitehumanity.life and check out our Ignite Humanity book and see how you could be a part of it and tell your powerful, amazing story. All right, big hugs and blessings to all of you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.